Hi, it's Lisa Fedunik here, and this is the student example for the discussion that would normally take place on FlippGrid, but this one's just being recorded with Zoom so that you could get an idea of what I'm looking for. So some of the criteria on the assignment is that you're following good principles of video design. For example, you can see that I have quite a bit of light on my face. I didn't put it so that it was right above me, anything like that. This is natural light. Just reflecting off the snow out of my window. You can also see with my frame of reference that you can see the top of my head, about shoulder-ish height. I'm about in line with the webcam, so I'm not at some funny angle. And while you can see that there's quite a bit behind me, like it's not a blank slate, my house is behind me, I'm not having any moving parts or anything like that. It's just going to be static background. Part of coming closer to the window is you can see that I am quite bright. There's quite a lot of light on me, and that means that you're more likely to focus on me, so that's something to consider. Make sure that if you are in a good background, it's not going to be very, very bright, and then you are the dark subject. You want to make sure the focus is on you when you're taking the video. For the audio, you can see that I'm speaking clearly. In the recording, you'll see that there's not a whole lot of it, people talking, things like that. And now for when I'm actually getting to my criteria, I've got lighting, audio, frame of reference. Those are all good, 3 marks there. Now to talk about your particular subject. So for example, if I talk about specifically genetic variation, and so because I'm presenting on this one in the student examples on genetic variation specifically, you won't be able to do this exact one in your presentation. I'll need some new information. You can't just use all the information from the example. So when we're talking about the different species of bananas, we saw that there was a fungal infection that was brought in and decimated a large variety of different kinds of bananas. See, if their genes were all the same, if they were the exact same species, they would have been unanimously just wiped out completely. We would no longer have bananas, banana splits, all those fun things. So the importance of the variation is that if you had something like the fungal infection in the case of the bananas come in, there would be some strains that might be able to survive better because their genes weren't the exact same as all of the other bananas. So it increases the ability to withstand different diseases. Another thing is that when you are having variety, let's say that you have a dominant and you have a recessive gene pool. So maybe 2 recessive genes will give you a death gene. You won't be able to produce offspring, you'll be infertile. Well, if all of your genes are the same and everybody has a dominant and a recessive, then it's going to end up over time decimating the population for good. So again, you have an extinction. Whereas if you have it where some people are carriers, so a dominant recessive gene, some of the, bananas, some of the bananas are completely dominant, so they don't have the recessive gene to pass on, which means their offspring's more likely to survive. So then you get that variation in there that maybe it moves more towards having the dominant species because the ones with recessive or carriers are less likely to pass on successful genes, but you'll still be able to see the variation there, that it's not all completely the same. It's not going to have the exact same ratio that'll slowly decimate the population. So the importance of variation is overall diversity can help with the survival of a species. A monoculture means that it can be wiped out by a disease completely. There's no increased chance of survival. So the chance of survival is one point. Another one would be that you can pass on that variation to the offspring so that in the future there can be different chances of survival. So you saw there in the video, the student example here, that I was able to name 2 things. I named them very clearly, and I talked about them in a little bit more detail with an example. That's kind of what I'm looking for to give you the full 2 marks, is that you have at least 2 things to say on the question, and then you also provide a bit of context, either examples or a little more explanation. So I hope that helped you with creating your video. Best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions.